afternoon, everybody. Monica here doing some Instant Pot cooking today. This is my fourth video. I got an Instant Pot for my parents and my in-laws at Christmas, and they were pretty intimidated by the technology. Looks like lots of other people are too. So I've started putting together some instructional videos, and today I'm going to make something that used to take me a lot of time, that I actually would probably only make once a month because it took a lot of different pots and a lot of time. And when I make this in the Instant Pot, not only do I sneak in some healthy butternut squash for the kids, but everyone loves it. I've pretty much just got one dish to clean up, two if we bake it in the oven. So what we're gonna do today is just make some mac and cheese. And we're gonna do it baked because it just tastes better that way. But here's what you're gonna need. So you're gonna want a 450 gram box of elbow macaroni. You're going to want about 26 ounces of water, which is just under 3.5 cups. You'll note if you look at recipes online, they ask for 4 cups of water, but because we're going to healthy it up and put some butternut squash in there, that's going to add moisture, and we don't want it too runny. So we're going to cut back on the water, and then yeah, to make it healthy, as healthy as mac and cheese can be, and to make it convenient, I've just picked up a bag of cubed butternut squash. Add some fiber and some vitamins in there, and honestly it tastes just like cheese sauce. No one can even tell it's in there. Kids eat it. We're going to have about 4 cups or so of a grated cheese, sharp cheddar, Monterey Jack, something like that works great. You don't want to use a mozzarella, it gets really rubbery. Got a little bit of dried mustard, a little bit of butter, if you're going to bake it in the oven, you're going to want some panko breadcrumbs for a topping, and some evaporated milk. So to start with, all we're going to do is we're going to head over to the Instant Pot here and take the lid off. I've started to warm it up a little bit. So easy peasy, come on over here. First thing we're going to do is just drop in our slightly less than 3.5 cups of water. It's warm because I wanted it to heat up fast. So we're putting in 3.5 cups of water. We are going to put in approximately 3 tablespoons of butter. If you want a little healthier version, you can cut it back. I don't like quite so much butter in there, so I'm going to put a little bit less. And then we're going to put our box of macaroni in here. Honestly, you can make this in under 10 minutes, which is about the same time it takes to make Kraft dinner, and you know everything that's going into it. So there's our box of elbow macaroni, and then the butternut squash, which right now is chunky, but when you're all done, it's going to just pretty much liquefy, and you're not even going to know it's there. And it actually adds a really nice orange cheesy look and cheesy texture. So that's all we're doing right now. So 4 ingredients. We've got pasta, butter, butternut squash, and water. Stick it all in the pot. I'm going to give it just a quick little stir. Break it up a bit. We're going to pop this lid on. Now, everyone was laughing at me trying to get my lid on. Some very nice people told me how to do it. So this arrow lines up with this arrow. Drop your lid on. When it makes that little magic noise, it's on properly. Then you spin your lid shut and it'll go click. Okay, it says on when your lid is on properly. What we want to do is make sure your vent on the top is pointing away from you. Okay, and if this thing is hot, I tend to use a spoon. Right now it's cool, so I'm using my hands, but vent needs to be pointed away. And then all we're going to do is we're going to hit pressure off because it was on a different function. We're going to hit manual. What's happening? Manual, and then we're going to drop the time down. We just want 4 minutes here. And we're going to let that cook for 4 minutes. Our pasta's going to be cooked. And while that's cooking, we can go over here and grate our cheese. I'm going to bake mine in the oven, so I'm going to get a casserole dish and spray it with a bit of pan. And we'll be back in 4 minutes and we'll continue the show. And I just realized that we forgot to add the mustard and the salt. The pot hasn't come to pressure yet, so it's okay to open it. When it makes that noise, that means it's not at pressure yet and it's safe. So what we're going to do is we're basically going to add approximately half a teaspoon to a teaspoon full of salt, and same thing again, approximately half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of dry mustard. Just going to shake some of that in there. I don't know if it's the right amount or not, but I think we're pretty safe. We like to wing it. Photographer here does not like to wing it, so she's probably having a little OCD attack right now, but it's all good. There we go. So I'm going to pop the lid back on, and then actually before we go away, so I'm just going to make sure this is back on pressure and it's good to go. It's still set from before. I'm going to just pop back over here and we're just going to do a little bit of prep here. We've just got, because I like to bake mine in the oven, we're just going to take a 9 by 11 pan and spray it down and then probably right now what you'd normally do is grate your cheese. So I've got some cheese grated, I've got some panko breadcrumbs, and you're probably going to want to open up your can of evaporated milk. And then we'll come back and we'll put this all together, and we should have dinner on the table.
Preheat the oven?
In about 15 minutes. Great idea, photographer here, Tegan. We are going to preheat the oven, turn to 350. Oven will be ready to go, and see you back here in a couple minutes. So it took a couple minutes to come up to pressure. It counted down for 4 minutes, and now it's at 0. So that means what we want to do is what's called a quick release. So some recipes call for natural release, which means that you just leave that vent pointing out and you let it slowly release pressure on its own. This is a quick release recipe where we don't want it to continue cooking after it's done. So we're going to release the pressure. And to be safe, it's a very safe unit, but what I like to do to be safe is just kind of stand back, and I'll use a spoon and just give it a couple little taps so that the pressure kind of comes off slowly. And then we'll push it all the way over, and we're going to let that pressure vent. Right now that little red button is popped up. When all the pressure is out, that button will pop down and we'll be able to open the lid. So we're just going to let the pressure come off. You'll notice in the last video I had it under the countertop. That really bothered a lot of people. They were worried I was going to wreck my counters, or my cupboard. So I moved it over here so that it's venting into a free space. And
wreck the ceiling instead.
Wreck the ceiling instead, yes. So we're just going to let that vent. It usually takes between 1 and 2 minutes. I'm going to grab a clean spoon here, and what we're going to do is we're going to slowly add in the milk and the cheese, and we're going to stir as we go. And I'll just show you when we get to this point. What we're doing right now is we're just waiting for this little button to drop down. This is one of my absolute favorite recipes to make. I am a super busy lady. I know we're all busy, but I'm a mortgage broker during the day, and between clients when I'm not a mortgage broker, I'm going over to the vet clinic, and there I do canine reproduction. So, and I also homeschool a couple kids part-time. So, busy life. I want to be able to just come home and get dinner going fast, and so I'm really liking the Instant Pot for that. And I hope that you'll enjoy yours also. The dog and the cat getting in a fight over there. So it's still buzzing away. We'll give it a minute. And so obviously you don't want to stick your hand over there, you don't want to be, and you never ever want to try and force this lid off. If you do that, this thing's under pressure, and that's when something dangerous could happen. So never try to force the lid off. This lid won't move right now because it's still under pressure. So when the pressure is released enough, the ball will drop, and then you'll see I'll be able to move the lid and it'll make its little magic noise. And then what I've got here is I've got some cheese. And I've got evaporated milk because that's what all the recipes that I've looked at have called for. I've actually, to be honest, never used evaporated milk before. I always just use what I've got in the fridge, but I thought I'd try this because everyone says it's amazing. But if you don't have evaporated milk, don't panic. You could use some regular milk, cream if you want to go really high fat, some coconut milk or some almond milk if you want to do that. You've certainly got lots of choices. So you don't have to use the evaporated milk. Okay, so my little red button just dropped down. Now, before I couldn't open the lid, now, ta-da, it makes its magic noise and I can open the lid. And I'm told that you can actually set the lid in here and it keeps it open. So I'm going to take it off though, just because I can't stir very well. So we've got our butternut squash and our macaroni, and I might need a better spoon for this. We'll see how this goes. I don't know if a spatula is going to cut it. So you'll see that as you stir this butternut squash, it basically just turns into mush, and you just kind of mash it all up, give it a really good stir. We'll get all the butternut squash all mashed up so it kind of becomes part of the chaw sauce. Trust me, your kids will not eat it if it's got chunks of butternut squash, but if the butternut squash is all mixed in there,
it really just looks like cheese.
It does. It actually looks like cheese, and it gives it a really nice texture. This is coming from a kid who doesn't like it when I hide things in her food. So you can see it actually just looks like cheese sauce in there right now. So what we're going to do is we're just going to slowly add a little bit of our milk and stir. And then we're going to add a little bit of milk, a little bit of cheese and stir. So what happens if you add all the cheese at once, you'll just get a big ball of melted cheese in the middle. So it's kind of like making Rice Krispies. You don't want to add all the melted marshmallows at once. You want to do this a little at a time. And if you find this thing spinning around, you can always grab yourself tea towel or an oven mitt or something just to hold it. You just don't want to grab that hot pan with your hands. So just kind of keep an eye on the consistency. I'm going to add a little more milk. We kind of like ours less runny, a little thicker. So I'm probably not going to put the whole can of milk in. That's probably about as runny as I want it. I'm going to put a little bit more cheese in, and then I think I might save a bit of cheese for the, actually I'm going to put Parmesan cheese on top. So I'm going to put all the cheese in here. So here's your mac and cheese. If you want to eat it like this, it's completely done and ready to serve. My family likes it baked. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it over here to the counter where I've got a greased pie pan ready to go here, casserole dish, and I'm just going to dump this baby in here. It all in there. Way you go, little guys. Run, run for your life. Okay, so I've dumped those in there.
Scrape it out.
Normally I would, but you know, we're just trying to make time, so I'm sure the dog wouldn't mind some leftovers. So just spread this all around, make sure everything's sort of melted and smushed in here. And then I have one child that won't eat pork. I think I mentioned in a previous video, we used to have pigs and pigs were her friends, so she won't eat pork, but I have 2 kids that love bacon bits. So what I do is I put bacon bits on half. Sometimes we use a sauteed garlic sausage and mix that in there. You could use some hamburger or some ham. If you want to add some meat to this, you could add whatever you want. So I basically just end up putting bacon bits on half, and we leave the other half plain cheese. It's kind of like a half and half pizza, but it's half and half mac and cheese. And then we do some panko breadcrumbs just to give it that nice crispy topping, because everybody loves a nice crispy topping on their mac and cheese. And normally when I make this, I've got cheese sauce in the saucepan. I've got another pan for making the macaroni, and got a whole bunch of dishes when I'm done. Really all I've got is that liner pot, and I'm going to have this dish to wash, and that's it. And I don't have a bunch of multiple steps. Usually I'm doing all different things at once trying to pull this together. So what I love about this is how quick and easy it is, right? Because we started this process 10 minutes ago, and our mac and cheese is now ready to go into our preheated oven. Maybe 5-10 minutes at 350, or if all you want to do is brown the cheese on top, you can broil it. I tend to burn crumbs when I broil those, so I'm just going to put it in the oven for about 10 minutes at 350, and then we'll pull it out and we'll show you what it looks like. I just got reminded I forgot one of the most important ingredients. A little bit of Parmesan cheese on the top. You can either use a real grated Parmesan, or I just use the Kraft shake Parmesan, but that will give it a beautiful brown color and a nice flavor. So we're going to pop a little Parmesan on the top of there as much as you like, and then I'm going to pop it in the oven for about 10-15 minutes, and we'll come back and see how it looks. Okay, this baby's been in the oven now for about 15 minutes. It's like it's nice and browned up on top. So I'm just going to pull it out, and looks like we've got a beautiful baked mac and cheese. And we've got just the one pot to clean, and then this one when it's done. Have a great day.